Hi folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob, beginning our 34th year. Started this show May 29th, 1992. And so who better than to bring here on my show than Rhode Island historian laureate, Dr. Pat Conley. How you doing?
Very good, Bob.
Always a pleasure to see you. That's why I got a big smile on my face.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, when you started, I was in kindergarten.
I mean, we go back a ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're talking before the show. We should have talked during the show, but we talked about your stuff going on there down at the waterfront.
Yes, we tried to develop the Allens Avenue waterfront, and the city decided that a scrapyard and a salt pile were preferable to condominiums, a long-term care facility, cruise ships, a marina, restaurants, and things of that type. Everybody has a different taste.
And I couldn't believe the dock you built out there, how far was it? How long was it?
The dock was 1,776 feet.
That's a number.
Yeah, because I was chairman of the bicentennial in 1776 to 1976, and that accommodated the largest ships, even ocean-going vessels, and we had American Cruise Lines tie up their 3 ships on that dock.
Oh, that's Blunt, right? American Cruise Lines?
American Cruise Lines.
Yep.
They kind of got their start with their New England run, and the key to their New England run was our dock.
Nice.
That was the focal point back 23 years ago.
Let's refresh people's memory a little bit. That area right down there, Allens Avenue.
Yes.
It's right on the curve. When you're on Thurber's Avenue on 95, going north, and you look to your right, you can see the pile, the pile covered with a black top there, right?
Yeah, and of course that's a violation of federal law, which the state of Rhode Island, through its Department of Transportation, needs to enforce and doesn't. When you don't enforce the Federal Highway Act of 1964, Lady Bird Johnson,
right,
and you can see that scrap rising up when you're driving on the interstate. You're not supposed to see it if the scrap is within 1,000 feet of the interstate. It's a violation of federal law. Nobody enforces the federal law, so the scrap pile remains high and ugly.
Well, you got a scrap pile, you got scrap, and you got
salt on the other side of the building that we put on the National Register. That had belonged to the Providence Gas Company.
Right, and later, was it Dunlap Tire?
Tire, and before that, it was a warehouse for the Faber Line, the immigrant passenger line out of Marseille, France, that brought 84,000 immigrants to the Port of Providence, and that was really Rhode Island's Ellis Island.
I was just going to say that.
We've destroyed it.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
That's what we do with our history.
That's what you take away the history and put a trash pile there instead.
Absolutely.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, my wife and I put a lot into that.
That's a beautiful building. I've been in it several times.
We had a Faber Line Club on top that had over 400 members, 60 scholarly or public lectures, ethnic heritage buffets. We premiered 60 books in that Faber Line Club. And I wrote a history of the club. I called it, I said Rhode Island's Camelot. It existed from 2007 to 2013. And then when the city refused to zone and kept the area marine industrial, despite their own plan and their own promises, that project failed. My wife and I, we eventually took a $5.3 million hit. And so be it.
Wait a minute. How did it end up being an industrial site so close to the water and so close to the highway? It's between two entities that are not supposed to allow any such entity between them.
Well, it was marine industrial as an extension of the very valuable and significant Port of Providence. And,
which is down further on Allens Avenue.
Yes, exactly. And of course, the interstate was built basically from along that area in the early 1960s.
Right.
So the zoning was already in place when the interstate was built. The city had decided to make that mixed use, and they developed a plan, the City Plan Commission, for a mixed use waterfront down as far south as Sturber Avenue. And then the Providence Redevelopment Agency approved the plan unanimously, and so did, and then the Providence Plan Commission approved it, but the City Council, through its Ordinance Committee, the last hurdle,
Overrid it?
blocked the plan by refusing to change the zoning from marine industrial to mixed use. I think bribery was clearly involved,
Right,
because the individuals that would have benefited owned or were leasing the shipyard next to our building. It was boat repair yard, and they persuaded the state, once again scandal beyond belief, the state to declare the land they were leasing for 20 years surplus. And so when that happened,
Wait a minute, why would it be surplus? What do you mean surplus?
Why? Follow the money. And no one else could bid on the land when the state put it up for bid, except the lessees of the shipyard. So they bought the shipyard. So they
had
bought the
exclusive
land.
right?
They bought the land for $1,138,000, blocked the zoning, and in the following year sold the same state-owned land, former state land now, for $12,600,000. They made an $11.5 million score on state land.
In 1 year?
In 1 year, but in the midst of the Great Recession, when real estate values had plummeted.
Right.
And
what year was that?
That was
2008,
1909.
Yeah, 2008, 2009.
Excuse me, 2008. So that's the historian in me. 2008
Yeah.
and 2009.
Well, I know.
It was just disgusting. So I brought it to the attention of the U.S. Attorney, who at that time was Mr. Nerona. He didn't see that was suspicious at all. So I brought it to the Rhode Island Attorney. Fitzpatrick didn't think.
Fitzpatrick? You mean Patrick Kennedy?
No. Patrick Kennedy's my former student, my good buddy. And he didn't investigate it. And then when the matter went before the federal court, presiding Judge Smith made no notice of the disparity, nor of the fact that the scrap piles were visible in violation of federal law, visible from the interstate highway, because they were within 1,000 feet of that highway. And the court ignored, after it being brought to the court's attention, the violations of the Clean Air Act, because particulate matter was rising from the scrap pile towards Hasbro Hospital. No, the Clean Water Act, it went the other way into the river. The Clean Air Act, it got blown by prevailing winds onto the hospital complex and to Hasbro Children's Hospital. The only one that seemed concerned about that was my friend Alan Hassenfeld, who brought it to the attention of the ones that run that operation dedicated to his family, and nothing ever was done. In other words, that was the greatest, and I can say this as the historian laureate emeritus and someone that's written 27 books on Rhode Island history, that was the greatest real estate scandal in the history of Rhode Island, and it's virtually unknown. Nobody really cares about it, and it's just gone into oblivion.
$11 million profit during the worst time in real estate in 30 years.
And the profit made on state land. They bought it from the state.
Yeah, for $1 million bucks. A little over $1 million.
Yeah, $1,038,000 with the add-ons at the closing.
But like you said, they were the only ones that could bid on it?
Well, anybody else could, but you take it subject to a 20-year lease. And it was a state senator who arranged the lease for them, who more than likely, if it had been investigated, engineered the decision by the Department of Environmental Mismanagement to then declare it surplus in defiance of the City of Providence's plans from the Department of Planning, the Providence Redevelopment Agency, and the Providence Plan Commission that had other plans for that area, the same plans that coincided with that my wife and I had developed. just ignored that. It was beyond all belief.
So you got 3 different commissions
Overridden by the
the
ordinance
council,
committee, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a judge who
Ignored all of that.
well, the judge you're talking about, I think, used to be a state rep.
Well, I don't know what he was before. I think
What
he
was
was
his first name?
I think it was Judge Smith. He was the I think general counsel to Lincoln Chafee when Chafee was mayor of Warwick or something. But I don't know his background. But I know I know his performance as a federal judge, and it was disgraceful.
Right.
It took us over 5 years to get when we sued Sims for violation and damage to our building.
Now,
We
Sims
asked
is
for
the
a
company
jury
that
trial,
bought it?
and for 5 years, the case hung out there in federal court.
Now, Sims is the one that bought it for $12 million?
Yeah, they're the largest scrap company in the world. Where
are they out of?
They have 155 scrap yards in multiple, in 2 or 3 dozen countries. So when you fight with them, you're
fighting against money.
You're fighting a losing game.
Right, right. Where are they out of? Are they out of Australia? Or
Australia.
something? I
Yeah,
thought
they're
so.
Australia.
So my memory's still there because I do remember that.
oh, yeah,
I do
yeah.
remember that. They were out of Australia. So a company out of
Yeah.
Australia beats out a guy that's been here all his life, grew up in South Providence.
Yeah, well, that's where I grew up in South Providence.
That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
you.
and basically where the salt pile is, that's where the French troops coming from Newport up the bay, that's where they landed, and the first encampment of Rochambeau's army on the road to the decisive Battle of Yorktown, which clinched the American victory in the American Revolution. The first encampment was right at where our development site was, and then up the hill from the water
Right.
to the campus of Rhode Island Hospital. And so what do we have as a monument to Rochambeau's march to Yorktown?
A scrapyard.
giant pile of salt.
A pile of salt that's
Yeah.
covered with the blacktop,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What do they do with that salt? It doesn't seem to move.
They spread it, but it's like the Boston Salt Company, so most of it is imported into the Port of Providence and used on Massachusetts roads in Bristol and Plymouth counties.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
It's in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
but it's used in Massachusetts.
Yes.
And it's stockpiled here and makes a nice.
Well, we make a nice dump.
But
And a
the
nice
salt
repository.
itself affects the ground, though, doesn't it?
Sure it does, and it seeps into the water, and DEM will hammer somebody that wants to put a house on a lot that may have been the site of some mild degree of contamination 100 years ago.
Right.
But when the big companies move and request, somehow their requests get granted.
Wow, it's a heck of a story.
Oh yeah.
I remember that building. I remember being there
Yeah.
a number of times.
Well, I'm doing a book on the waterfront, the land and the dock, where we had 3 ships of the American Cruise Lines, the Providence Newport Ferry, the historic sloop Providence, which state gave away to Alexandria, Virginia, the HMS Bounty, the
that
John W. Brown Liberty ship, which I brought here from Baltimore for display in one of the last major projects before we had to shut down our operation. And it'll tell the story of all those various ships, of the Providence Piers tour boat that we used to do historic tours of the Port of Providence. The Senile, which you and I way back went out on to
Right.
advertise the
This
project.
has walking on it. This
There
has
you are.
going to walk
Yep.
on it.
That's the picture, absolutely.
I haven't seen this
Yeah,
picture. He gave me this picture just before we went on the
And
air.
you were the principal promoter of that project among members of the media.
Yep.
And I won't criticize the media because they did give the Providence Business News, gave great coverage to what we were trying to do, and the coverage was approvingly given. The TV stations did well. The Journal news stories were good, but the Providence Journal editorial board wrote about 14, not about, but 14 critical editorial pieces saying that we were gentrifying the waterfront and we were costing jobs in the middle of the Great Recession. How many jobs are on that strip of waterfront from our land southward to Thurbers Avenue today? I don't think there are 20 jobs.
Right.
And we were
Got a crane operator, maybe.
Yeah, we would have created a couple of thousand.
Right.
And our study showed that we would increase the tax base of the city if that 67 acres were developed. We only had 7 of it.
Yep.
But if that acreage along the river, just on the east side of Allen's Avenue, was developed, it would have put $18 million more of taxes into the city treasury.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what a giveaway. I mean, the city lost, we lost, a couple of people made a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, you got a salt pile compared to a whole bunch of condos or something along the waterfront.
Well,
or
and a
apartments
long-term care facility
yeah.
wanted to come in from Boston. We already had a letter of intent from them because of the proximity of the site to Rhode Island Hospital.
And you look across the river in East Providence, and you see the long-term cares over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Long swim across the river though to get to the hospital.
But again, waterfront land is invaluable.
Yeah, and you look at Portland, you look at Boston, you look at New York and Philadelphia, Baltimore, Savannah, Charleston. You look at their waterfronts and look at ours, and we're a positive disgrace. We lag behind all the others. We gave away the HMS Rose, a ship that we crafted.
In Newport, right?
That was crafted by a member of my bicentennial commission, John Millar, for the bicentennial. My commission supported the construction of the sloop Providence, a replica of the first ship of the United States Navy.
Yep.
Now the HMS Rose is in San Diego. The sloop Providence is in Alexandria.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's bewildering how we've squandered our maritime heritage.
History. Rhode Island history.
Yeah.
I mean, putting into places that really had nothing to do with the Revolution. Or Virginia did, I guess. But not San Diego, that's for sure. That was a long time away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe if we were commemorating the Bear Flag Republic of 1846, we might give some thought to that, but otherwise, no.
You mentioned two ships, the HMS Bounty and the ship that we went on, that we did the Bob's Big Adventure on down the bay, right?
Yeah.
Your boat.
Yeah.
Your ferry, right?
Yeah, that was a tour boat.
Yep.
And then I had a smaller boat for back and forth there on the river.
Yeah, we did that.
I called that the Sea Nile. Because I wasn't a particularly good navigator, and
but you and I went on. You handled it well.
No. I had my captain Frank.
Leonard.
He was the captain. I had different captains on that boat. I very seldom took that boat out on my own.
I'm trying to give you credit for it. You're not even taking.
No, I got to be truthful. I don't want to embellish.
And the HMS Bounty, they wanted me to promote it.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'll promote it. Yeah. But I want to take a bunch of people on it and go down the bay for a sunset cruise.
Yep.
So I put 40 people on it, a band, and all kinds of food. There were 3 or 4 restaurants that brought food on. They wouldn't let us bring any booze on, which is okay with me because I don't drink. But some people like to drink in sunset cruises, but they wouldn't allow it. But we went right down the harbor with high sail. We had people pulling the sails up and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a guy that owns a big business in Warwick. He climbed up on the masts and downward with my big camera so I could do an opening shot. And he did a wide shot of the whole boat, the whole deck of the boat, from up there about 30 or 40 feet. Everybody thought he was out of his mind, including me.
Yeah.
But he did it.
Yeah, well, we took the Bounty, off our dock on occasion as well. Ironically, in
it went down,
in 2012, the Bounty went down with the loss of the captain and a mate in a hurricane.
Big hurricane,
Hurricane caught off the coast of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
So the Bounty went down as well, but it wasn't given away. But it wasn't the state's to give away, actually.
Now, that was used in the movie, right? The reenactment
That's right.
of the movie?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
The
They
HMS
did a
Bounty?
couple of bounty movies. That was from the movie in the 1960s. And, of course, we brought the John W. Brown, the Liberty ship in, and that sailed down the bay.
Right.
And we brought in airplane enthusiasts, particularly from Long Island and Connecticut, to strafe the boat as we went down the bay.
Yeah, just go right over the boat?
Yeah, right over. My wife, Gail, and I, and Governor Bruce Sunland were steering the ship at the time and dodging the bullets.
Wow,
And,
wow.
Our incumbent governor at the time, that was another individual that unbelievably ignored the waterfront development and boycotted our entire effort down there.
Well, that would have been the governor after,
Before Chafee.
before Chafee, but after Sunland and before the young Chafee, or what is it? I'm mixed up here.
Well, it would be.
No?
It would be. I don't like to mention his name. I just,
all right, yeah.
He was probably the worst governor, certainly of my lifetime.
Right, right. Oh, that's sad, but I can understand it. I can understand it. You took a hit worse than anybody I know.
Yeah.
I mean, for all your work. I mean, it's everything you did that I know of.
Yeah.
And I've known you a long time was for the benefit of the state.
Yeah.
And go back to the bicentennial years.
Yeah, that was
you
the
were-
state
you were
volunteer state
you were
chairman.
huge. You were huge in that.
Yeah, bicentennial.
And we had more.
RI-76.
We had. Correct me if I'm wrong. We had more tall ships in Rhode Island than they had in New York that year.
That's correct. We were the only ones to bring all the tall ships.
All
in.
of them came here.
Yeah, we had 18. We had the tall ships that came in. There were 18 from 14 different countries.
Right.
In late June, and then the fleet headed to New York, but 16 ships went there, and the ships from Denmark and the Soviet Union departed and went to Boston. So we were the only ones in Rhode Island and Newport,
Right.
The only ones that
Had 'em all.
That had all of them.
Right.
And there were literally hundreds of thousands of people viewed those ships as they cruised the bay, and we even brought the Sarge, which was the Portuguese tall ship,
I
up to
got
Providence.
a beautiful shot of that ship.
Yep, and
That was a gorgeous ship.
yep. And as a matter of fact, we have here the Portuguese in Rhode Island history. This is another way that this is another product of the bicentennial, and it was a way that we were able to recognize Rhode Island's various ethnic groups, and the Portuguese were so strong, and June was the Portuguese Cultural Week that we brought. I got a picture of it here. That we brought the Sarge up to Providence, up to Fox Point, and to get away from the 12 ships. Also, the Bicentennial Commission not only brought in the 12 ships and re-gilded the Independent Man and had a number of other projects, but we tried to expand the base of participation. And the best way to do that was to reach out to our ethnic groups. So I created 18 ethnic heritage committees, one for each ethnic group in Rhode Island
Right.
that had a population of $5,000 or more.
5,000 people or more.
Yeah, so those 18 groups functioned. They had their own functions, and they stressed the contributions that they had made to Rhode Island since their arrival.
Right.
And I asked each one of them to do.
And hence, they're all in here,
yeah,
right?
they're all in there.
They're all
I had
different
each one
groups.
to write a pamphlet. That's the pamphlet. And I just gave 100 of these to Mayor De Silva for Portuguese Heritage this week, which he'll distribute in East Providence. But these pamphlets were done by each of the committees. 14 of the committees of the 18 responded in a positive way to produce those over the period actually from about 1979 to 1995. I kept with the program
Right.
through another one of the bicentennial creations, the Rhode Island Publication Society. And the Rhode Island Publication Society brought these out one by one, serratum, over a period of 15 years. When I created the Heritage Harbor Foundation in 2016, I said, because they came out individually,
Right.
let's collect them and do the Rhode
That's
Island
pretty
Ethnic
cool.
Heritage
Like
Series.
this whole.
So now we got a box series.
Yeah. And how many are in here?
There's
13?
There's 14,
14.
Groups, and then
Well, actually,
one
there's 13,
and then
'cause you
one
got one
general that I wrote to cover the 4 groups that didn't come up with a pamphlet.
Now, who are the 4 groups?
4 groups were the Swedes, which amazed me because I had a very good Swedish American committee. The Hispanics, which were kind of newly arrived at that particular time. The Yankees, ironically, the O-line English
Really?
that had traced their ancestry back. And then the blacks
To the
had their own
Mayflower.
pamphlet. The blacks, because this was an ethnic heritage, they said, well, we're something different than a European immigrant group or an Asian immigrant group, so we would like to do our own booklet. So we funded their Blacks in Rhode Island booklet, but it's not part of that series.
All right, let me
but
see.
the foundation, when we did the boxing, we reprinted the Blacks in Rhode Island and gave it to the Rhode Island Black Heritage Committee
Right.
for distribution.
So all of these, here's another one. The Irish in Rhode Island.
Yes, I'm the one that wrote that one. I edited all of them, and I wrote the Irish one.
You wrote the Irish one. The little booklet, very
They're
full
all
of
about 50 to
information.
60 pages.
Yeah, they're all full of information of the heritage, in this
Yep,
case, the heritage of
exactly.
the Irish in
Yep,
Rhode Island, right?
That's right.
Who, by the way, were looked down upon just like the Italians were back in the day.
Oh, big time. A lot of prejudice against the, not so much Irish. 'cause
But the Italians.
When I say not so much Irish, but when I was going to qualify it, Catholic Irish. It was
Yes.
the Catholics that caught it because a lot, when I wrote a history of the Irish in Rhode Island, a booklet that grew out of my lecture at Providence College to the new program that has been established there for Irish American heritage and culture. I called it From Log Cabin to State House, 1640 to 1940.
Right.
And that early part down to through the first 2 or 3 decades of the 19th century, the Irish that did come here made very significant contributions.
Right.
In fact, one Irishman, John Sullivan, the victorious general in the Battle of Rhode Island, who would be inducted into the Hall of Fame on July 19th. Of course, he's a New Hampshire man. But the Irish were very, very significant in that early period, but they were the Protestant Irish. When the Catholics started to come in, the old-line, you might say
want 'em.
white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, regarded them as not being assimilatable, that they would not embrace American culture,
Right.
American values, and that they owed their allegiance not to the President of the United States, but to the Pope. And so there was some very strong dissent and discrimination against Catholic Irish from about the 1830s down through the end of the 19th century.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the Italians, of course, were discriminated against as well as they came in, ironically, also by the Irish. And it seems
Well,
that the
yeah,
last ones off the boat.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
the
They
ones
take
that,
they take it the worst.
yeah, yeah.
And when I ever looked up and I found out that the Italians, being part Italian and part Irish, by the
Yeah.
way, how the Italians, the Irish and the Italians, but the Italians even more so, were looked upon because they were Catholics,
Yeah.
number one, and apparently loud or whatever.
Yeah.
There was an incident happened, and you know about this.
Yeah, New Orleans.
In New Orleans, was it 1891?
Yep.
When there was 11 Italians that were
Mass
arrested
lynching.
and charged with some crimes,
Yeah.
and they were acquitted.
Yeah.
But before they got released, while they were in jail,
Yeah.
a mob overtook the
Yeah.
jail, took them out, and killed
Vigilante
some,
mob.
shot some
Yeah.
of them, and lynched the rest of them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so in fact, I've got some of the same background. My mother was half Italian. Her father was a D'Estasio. So as a result of that, the Italian American Club of Rhode Island here in Providence
Right.
named me an honorary life member.
Wow.
But I can't be Patrick Thomas Conley. On their roster, I'm Patrick DeStasio Conley.
Well, by the way, I'm a member of the Italian Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't quite make that.
Well, I have the Italian name. That's why I get it.
I was the head of the Rhode Island Heritage Hall of Fame for 20 years.
Right.
From 2003 to 2023. And one of my
And my
most
sponsor.
prestigious inductees, nominees, was a fellow by the name of Bob Venturini.
Really?
Yes.
That was interesting. And I thank you for that. I thank you for that. You think about all the things. How many books have you written?
34.
34 books. All about Rhode Island, right?
Well,
And New England.
27 about Rhode Island and 7 about the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Right.
But most of those, even on constitutional and legal history, were Rhode Island oriented.
Right.
In other words, Rhode Island's contributions to the development of the United States. And I've did this for the 250th. I've got a booklet called Rhode Island's Contributions to the founding
States.
of the United States.
Right.
And this is an outgrowth of a lecture that I gave to the American speakers of the House when they had their national convention in
that?
Newport in
yeah.
2019. And this is a 32-page illustrated booklet, and it is kind of an ideal booklet for the 250th celebration, because most of these, they either deal with Rhode Island in the colonial or revolutionary era.
Right.
In other words, it's a contribution at that time to what became the United States.
Right.
And I gave a quantity of these to the 250th Commission for distribution, and the Heritage Harbor Foundation published a number of them also, which we're attempting to circulate in advance of, say, July of this year.
Yep.
So anybody interested, Rhode Island's contributions to the founding of the United States, there are 8 major contributions, starting with religious liberty and church-state separation and concluding with number 8, the foundation of America's Industrial Revolution by Samuel Slater.
In Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Yes, in Pawtucket. It was Pawtucket, North Providence then, but we've always changing our boundaries.
Oh, wait, what happened with North Providence? What would North Providence have to do
That was
with
North Providence. It was part of North Providence. Pawtucket the
Pawtucket
village of
was?
Pawtucket.
I thought Pawtucket was part of Seekonk.
That's the other half of Pawtucket.
Oh.
Well, in 1862, when we took
the river,
the other half of the river,
All
then
right.
Pawtucket, Massachusetts, which had been part of Seekonk, had come in and merged with Pawtucket, Rhode Island, to form the modern city
Okay,
in
so
1866.
I live in Pawtucket.
Yeah.
And I live on the west side of the river, so I'm part of North Providence?
That's right, you were.
I was part of North Providence.
We've
But
had a lot
anybody
of,
on the other
we've
side...
had an awful lot of boundary changes. My book, The Album of Rhode Island History, I call that political mitosis. We've had at least 30 changes of municipal boundaries over the course of Rhode Island history. In fact, where I grew up in South Providence, that was Cranston until 1871.
Wow.
And
now,
before
that called Edgewood now?
Yeah, well, no. Edgewood's still part of Cranston, obviously.
Right.
But I'm saying South
leading
Providence.
to Cranston.
I'm talking about where the railroad tracks, the housing project. That's where I grew up, on the railroad tracks in South Providence, right near my waterfront development site.
Oh.
That's the South Providence neighborhood.
Okay.
And that was part of, all the way down to Dudley Street was part of Cranston, and before that, back prior to 1754, it was part of Providence. So we change and change and change and change.
Right.
It's like Bristol, where I live now, was part of Plymouth Colony. Then it became part of Massachusetts Bay Colony, and then in 1747 it was acquired by Rhode Island. So Bristol has been a Rhode Island town, but only since 1747.
Oh, I got a question for you. I always wondered, how did Tiverton and Little Compton become part of Rhode Island? Because they're not connected to Rhode Island. Without the bridge, they're not connected to Rhode Island.
Well, they became by a boundary settlement reached with Massachusetts, which can get your audience very, they might turn it off. But we made an arrangement in February of 1746, which in modern calendar, the Gregorian calendar, would be 1747. And the eastern part of Cumberland, the eastern part of the whole East Bay, Bristol, Warren, Barrington, Little Compton, Tiverton, all came to Rhode Island. And in return, we settled that boundary dispute, and
what did they get for it? What did Massachusetts get for giving us all that?
well, we had a superior claim to that particular area. What Massachusetts got at that time was virtually nothing, just a settlement of the boundary. But later on, in 1862, we got some more from Massachusetts with East Providence. So East Providence was a Massachusetts town till 1862, and
yeah, because they're on the other side of the river.
And the other side of Pawtucket, the same way. And then what we did was to give the northern part of Tiverton to Massachusetts, and that became
Fall River.
The Fall River.
Right.
Yeah, that's the southern half of Fall River had been a Rhode Island town. The Rhode Island town of Fall River was created in 1856, and it was transferred to Massachusetts in 1861. So you're going on. This is not for a talk show here, but as I'm saying,
I find it interesting.
There were 30 of those, you know, and you know, Oneyville belonged to Johnston, and the Charles Street area and everything else, the North End belonged to North Providence, and on and on and on. It's an incredible tangle. And a lot of it was done for political purposes. The General Assembly manipulated the lines in order to give political ascendancy to one party or another. Yeah.
Right? Gerrymandering, right?
Yeah.
It should be noted that you're an attorney. I mean,
yeah.
You're not just an author. You're an
attorney. And real estate developer. I might have been, etc.
You might have
I could have been a contender. But even Gary, you talk about Gary Manding, the guy that owned the tire shop that was a part of the development down there on Allen's Avenue.
Right.
His name was Peter Gary, and he was a direct descendant from Elbridge Gary, who was the governor of Massachusetts back around 1810 when they redrew the boundary lines in Massachusetts, and one looked like a salamander,
right?
Because Gary was a Federalist at the time, and basically one of his opponents said it's not a salamander, that's a gerrymander, and
that's how they come up with
the
name.
word came in to the language there.
Now you call it a gerrymander. I call it a gerrymander.
Well, Gary is how it can be pronounced either way, like Caribbean and Caribbean.
Right.
But it actually, I believe at the time, he was Elbridge Gerry and not Elbridge Jerry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry would be with a
J,
J, and it is with a G, though. You got me there.
Yeah.
But any one of these books, first of all, somebody can get this, right?
Yeah.
People can get this.
The Rhode Island Publication Society has that set, and it has, you know, each one of these pamphlets as well. For those of you that might be, you know, Polish or
French. I just pulled another one up. French.
Yeah, the French, of course.
Most of these people, the French come from Canada.
They came from Quebec. Yeah.
Any Parisian French?
Some,
came here?
but not many.
Not many.
Some Parisian French came in on the Faber line because that debarked at Marseille from 1911 to 34. It came here to Providence. So you do have some French, not so much from Paris, but actually continental French as opposed to Canadian.
Right, which is different.
Yeah,
which is
very different.
Very, very different. Because I studied French for 4 years. I can't speak 5 words of it, but I took French for 4 years.
Yeah.
I 2 in high school and two in college.
Yeah.
Roger Williams, by the way. I went to Roger Williams University. And I opened this up and I see one socket. The French obviously had a
that was
big
the most French city in America, you know, back early 20, 25, 30 years ago and moving back. Not so much now, but then.
Well, even my area of Woodlawn in Pawtucket at St. Jean the Baptist Church, there was a lot of French in my neighborhood. When I grew up, we were the only Italian family in the area.
Yeah. Well, Saint Jean Baptiste is the patron saint of Quebec.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's why they named it Saint Jean Baptiste.
And we also have a Polish community near me.
Oh, yeah, we have a Polish book there. As a matter of fact, my wife went to Poland in the 1980s. We supported a children's hospital there, and she went over with the delegation that were the sponsors of that hospital, and in response to their generosity, they got a trip to Gdansk and met with Lech Walesa.
Oh, really?
Before he had overthrown communism there. There's a great picture in the Polish pamphlet of Lech hugging my wife.
Cut it out, really?
Gdansk, yeah.
Wow.
My wife's incredibly beautiful, and Lech, I'm sure, singled her out of the crowd.
he took advantage of his opportunity.
I called him Letcher after that.
Yeah. Hey, here's another one I would never expected. The Ukrainians in Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah. They came in, the Ukrainians mostly came in on the Faber Line, because the Faber Line in the 20s especially went into the Black Sea, and they made some stops in the Crimea and brought Ukrainians here. There was an Ukrainian parish on Public Street in South Providence, but the two main Ukrainian settlements, churches are in Woonsocket. One is called Uniate. They're in a communion with Rome, and the other is the Ukrainian Orthodox. All that's explained in the Ukrainian book.
Wow. All right, here's another one for you. The Southeast Asians in Rhode Island. I know there's a lot of them in Woonsocket.
Yeah.
The Hums, is that what they call them? Hmong.
Yep.
They came here from Vietnam.
Yeah, Louise Lind wrote that back in, that kind of was an addition to the series because they were the last of the ethnic heritage groups I created when I was the chair.
Yep.
Because they were only just coming in at that point,
right.
Because the Vietnam War had just ended and they came in as refugees.
75 and after.
76,
right?
yeah. So they were like the last in under the wire, and Louise Lind wrote a very nice essay on the Southeast Asians. They're the only, you might say, Asian group.
Really, yeah. I do remember when they come in the 70s.
Yeah.
I do remember. Oh,
let's put it far Asian group. What we should, if there were more Chinese, we would have done the Chinese, but there were only about 3,500. But what I did in that series, that I did a volume 15, and I included an extensive essay in that volume 15 on some of the ones like the Swedes, the Chinese, and all that were missing. From the
edition before.
From the booklet. I worked on the Chinese with my assistant Paul Campbell, who
I knew Paul.
Very, very knowledgeable, because he grew up in that part of South Providence down there where there was a significant Chinese settlement, and also habituated on Empire Street. There was a little Chinatown there as well. So we work with the Chinese. In fact, the Heritage Harbor Foundation has given the Chinese a substantial grant to research their history and heritage in Rhode Island.
Wow. The Portuguese, we
yeah,
went
the
through
Portuguese.
this
Oh,
already.
yeah. The Portuguese those are being given out today by Mayor Bob De Silva.
Bob, great guy.
Yeah.
I know Bob all the way back when he was a Pawtucket cop.
Yeah,
In
yes,
fact,
he was.
I always bring it up. I took his photograph when he became a cop.
Oh, yeah.
Back in Pawtucket, back in what, got to be 30-something years ago now. Let's see what else we got. I love this. Let's see, here's another one. I'm reading it upside down. Here's the Poles.
All right.
Polish.
The Polish Americans in Rhode Island. And here's, just to show you that I wasn't fibbing.
Now there's a Polish community in Pawtucket on Broadway.
Oh yeah, the Polish were well scattered. There were about 60,000 of Polish ancestry, but that's the picture right there of Lech Walesa and my wife Gail.
How cool is that? Can we get a shot of that? Can we get that shot? Zoom right in there, Dan.
Yeah.
That's your wife Gail, huh?
Yeah, that's what she got for being a benefactress.
There you go. Look at the monitor over there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Yep, there it is.
Lech Walesa, for you
Lech
folks
Walesa,
that don't
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
he's the one that organized the union.
The Solidarity movement.
Solidarity,
and,
yeah.
Pull Poland out of the Soviet Union, became its president.
Wow. And that's big right there.
Yeah.
That's big.
So when I tell you what's in there, I'm not BSing here. I'm giving you the straight talk.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. This is good. There's the Jews in Rhode Island.
Yeah, oh yeah, really important.
Big group of Jewish people in Rhode Island. On the east side of Providence, number one, right?
Yeah, but the very influential ones, South Providence. South Providence had two major ethnic groups. The Irish by far the largest, but the second largest and tremendously influential were the Jews, particularly in what's called Upper South Providence, down around the Willard Avenue area. There were many shops there run by Jewish merchants. And as a matter of fact, the first Jewish American governor of Rhode Island was Frank Leach, and he was raised there in that area.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I was his speechwriter and one of his advisors when he won the governorship back in 1968. So way back.
That goes back.
I knew Frank well.
I knew him too, not like you though. I knew him not well. What do we got here? This is just fun. This is fun. I got to look at it upside down. The Italians in Rhode Island. Hey, how you doing? Now we have a very large group of Italians in Rhode Island.
That's right. Yeah,
the second highest.
Both in excess. Up until 2020, both the Italians and the Irish running neck and neck, with about a little over 20% of the population traced ancestry one way or another. And of course, you and I would trace it both ways.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And in fact, that's the most common, at least it used to be, the most common combination of people is the Italians and the Irish.
Yes, exactly.
Right, the Catholic Irish and the Italians, both Catholics. Yeah. And there was a lot of them. And Johnston, Rhode Island is the second highest concentration of Italians in the country.
You have to Plainfield, New Jersey, and one ahead of New Haven, Connecticut. And my wife, my mother was one of the New Haven Italians.
Really?
So they're three right behind Johnston.
In fact, I found out they're Venturinis in Connecticut. That I know of, yeah. And they go all the way to California, because I found out there are Venturinis in California.
Oh, wow. They're scattered.
They're scattered. But that would be...
And you can see the picture on that cover. That was the Columbus statue.
Oh, that was moved.
Crafted by Gorham. And in an outrageous display of historical presentism. They defaced that statue, complained about it with no basis whatsoever. Columbus was absolutely no part in slavery. And he captured some Native Americans from the Carib tribe that attacked his party and brought them back to Spain. Not in slavery, but he brought them back to try to convert them to Catholicism, because he was kind of almost a religious nut.
Right.
He was not a slaver, and that's why, fortunately, Joe Paolino stepped forward. My foundation made a bid, but Paolino outbid us and bought the statue for $50,000. It's probably worth $500,000.
And they moved it to Johnston,
moved it to Johnston, and he and I and Mayor Policino were the three major speakers when they rededicated that a couple of years ago. And as a matter of fact, I did a flyer for the event, and the head of the flyer was Christopher Columbus lands in Johnston. He made landfall.
That was a shame what they did to Columbus.
But that
and continue to do. Now that they call it the indigenous.
Indigenous, yeah.
I mean,
and the Native Americans. I mean, I was an honorary chief of the Seekonk Wampanoag. So I love the Native Americans. My wife and I gave substantial land grants in Burrowville and Cumberland to the Native Americans. We had a house on Mount Hope in Bristol that we were doing over to give to the Pokanokets as a cultural center. Unfortunately, that recession that enriched our neighbors on Allen's Avenue caused that restoration project to fail, and the bank took the property back. But my wife campaigned vigorously in an alliance with the Pokanoket to get Brown University to transfer that Mount Hope land to the Pokanoket. So
Right.
we're very, very strong. In fact, we renamed the road going to the house Poconoket Place. And so we're very, very strong with the Native Americans.
Oh, here we go. The Greeks.
Ah,
Come on now.
oh, yeah.
The Greeks have a big inroads in Rhode Island.
Oh, they do, absolutely, and very
You think
influential.
of pizza and you think of wieners.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Oh, and you think of much more than that too.
I know, of course.
I was the partner of Greg Demetricus. I used to call him Zeus, and he was one of the
A
richest
god,
of
a
the
Greek
Greeks.
god?
And he was a real estate partner of ours, and he ran a city metal company down at the shipyard. And as a matter of fact, he went with my wife and I when Cianci sent us over to the island of Rhodes to establish a sister city relationship between Rhodes City, the capital of the island,
Right.
and Providence, the capital of Rhode Island.
Right.
Because in Italian, Verrazzano is responsible for the name Rhode
Rhode
Island.
Island.
Yeah, and we went over there to the island of Rhodes and to do the sister city relationship, which of course Providence, since Cianci wanted to do it, and most of what he wanted, it's gone by the wayside. I don't think we've ever maintained that connection with Rhodes that we established.
Right.
But we took Greg with us. He was fluent in Greek and a major philanthropist for Annunciation Parish in Cranston and things of that type, and of course prominently mentioned in that book.
Oh, cool. So anybody
He was
get
the
any
chairman
of
of
these
my
books?
during the bicentennial. He was the chairman of my Greek American Heritage Committee.
All right, let's
That's
see
how
what
I
else we
first hooked
got
up
here.
with him.
The Cape Verdeans.
Oh, Cape Verdeans.
Big
Wonderful.
group again in Pawtucket.
Oh, yeah,
there's a lot of
absolutely.
Cape Verdeans
In fact, you have the
Pawtucket.
Cape Verdean Museum now in Pawtucket, on Prospect Street in Pawtucket.
Yep.
And they have made contributions, particularly maritime, a lot of the longshoremen in Providence and all, and great athletes.
Oh, yeah.
George Arujo, for example, and the Pina family. Slick Pina, member of the Hall of Fame, tremendous football star and dead football coach here in Rhode Island. And handsome Joe Pina, my outfield mate, my center fielder for the IBAA team that was the state independent amateur champions in 1956. They get all kinds of...
Davy Lopes.
Oh, Davy Lopes, absolutely.
He just passed, didn't he?
Another member of the Rhode Island Heritage Hall of Fame. I tell you about Davy. He was from South Providence, and he was young. He was about 10, 11 years old when we had the championship team, and his idol was Joe Pina, our center fielder, and he used to come to Richardson Park, and he wasn't the bat boy because he was too young. He was the ball boy, and he used to chase the balls that would go over the fence if they went foul here
Right.
and there. So Davy was the ball boy for IBAA.
Wow.
So I got
And
to
he
know
became,
him.
what, the second baseman for the Dodgers?
Oh, absolutely. One of the great major league players and a member of the Rhode Island Heritage Hall of Fame.
Wow. How cool is
I
that?
always say I was the captain of the team and Davy Lopes was the ball boy.
All right, well, we're running close here. The Armenians.
Oh,
The Armenians. Now, wait a minute. Let me think. Where would they be? Where would they be? I see them. Central Falls?
the Armenians mostly on Smith Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they had a very strong Armenian community. And in Providence, good St. Varts was their largest parish. And they produced, in fact, there weren't many in South Providence, but there was one, and he really made a way, got into the Rhode Island Heritage Hall of Fame, Eddie Zakarian. Eddie Zak.
Eddie
The
Zak.
country singer.
Oh, my
And
God,
the Dude
yes.
Ranches, absolutely.
Yes,
Yep.
I remember him.
And we're putting a guy in the Hall of Fame in November, recently deceased Hollywood actor. He was in a lot of the science fiction movies, John Hedison, but Hedavasian was his name.
Right,
And
right.
actually what we're going to do is have the Armenian Historical Society, which exists up and they have a facility on the east side furnished by the Garabedians, who
Aram
Aram
Garabedian?
Garabedian, who's also in the Hall of Fame. So the Armenians have made their mark here, considering they're very small in number.
Right. And I should point out, Aram Garabedian helped me to establish the biggest choice for telethon on the East Coast, at least.
Yeah.
when we did that for 24 years at the Warwick Mall. It was,
Yep. No.
It was because of Arab Garabedian
Yep.
and John Salona, the
Yep.
former senator from North Providence.
Who was my former student?
Really?
Johnny Salona was, yeah.
Yeah.
And Aaron was a close buddy. I was very friendly with Aaron.
Yeah, me too. I got
Yeah.
friendly with Aaron because of John Salona, and that was when you were at PC, right?
That's right. He was my student at Providence College.
All right.
Along with Chris Dodd and Patrick Kennedy. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost there. Arabic-speaking people in Rhode Island.
That's the Syrian
The
and
Arabs.
Lebanese.
Syrian and
Syrian
Lebanese.
and Lebanese. Those would be the Arabs.
No, I know.
Mainly.
I know some Syrian people and Lebanese people, actually. Yeah.
Religiously, they're either Orthodox or they're Maronite or Melkite. The Maronites and the Melkites are in affiliation with Rome, and the Orthodox are Christians.
Constantinople.
Yeah, but they've done extraordinarily well here, particularly in the business world and all. And there was a strong colonies there in Central Falls and in Woonsocket.
Well, the former mayor of Central
Yeah,
Falls,
yeah.
a good friend of mine, is an Arab,
Yeah,
and so isn't the state representative. State senator from Central
Yeah.
Falls. They were both
Azar.
Arabic. Huh?
the Azars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So we go.
I love this.
You didn't pull out the Lithuanians.
Yes, I did. No, I did.
No, not Lithuanian. No, you didn't. You got the Polish, but not their cousins, the Lithuanians.
Oh, I thought I
they were
did.
settled mainly in
Oh,
Providence.
no, wait a minute. No, I must have missed. I had the Ukrainians. I didn't pull out the
yeah.
Lithuanians.
Yes.
I missed
Yeah, the
that.
Lithuanians had a church. They only had one national parish. It was St. Casimir's, and it was on Smith Street on Smith Hill, and they had a very, very, very significant presence.
This must be it. It's the only one I'm. No, the Germans.
The Germans, Acta Liebe.
I guess I got to wrap it up. We're
Yeah,
just about done, Doc.
Yeah.
This is great. Now the Germans, quickly. Somebody in the German of the German persuasion. Who do you remember here? That.
Well, I actually didn't know of the various Germans. There were almost no Germans in South Providence. And a lot of these people, I know them from all of the groups.
Right.
But I'd have to finger through to see if I had someone that was close. The one that I worked with the most was Herb Jetski.
Oh,
and
all
Herb
right.
Jetski was the chairman of my German American Heritage Committee, and he's a leading supporter of German heritage in Rhode Island.
Well, listen. You just spent an hour with Bob there.
Wow. And just short of, I'm 88 next week.
You're 88 years
88.
old. God bless you. 88 years old.
So I'm
And
still,
You got. Your mind is as sharp as ever.
well, however sharp that was.
Well, I thank you for coming by
Yeah.
and with your wisdom. I
Yeah.
mean, you're an amazing guy, you really, are, and a good friend.
Yeah.
And I
And
love
likewise.
having you. And thank you for
Thank you very
stopping
much.
by. Spend
Always
an
enjoy.
hour with Bob.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Dr. Pat Conley. And folks, thank you for spending an hour with me and the doc. Until next time, see you.